Module 4. Traffic Control. What is the active flow of cars on the roads via the road network? Exchanging information through vehicle signaling systems. Satisfactory. Visual impairment area. Rotation. Parking available. Velocity and constraint. Expertise in driving. Minimize the likelihood of danger and enhance driver reaction time. Evaluation. Assessing the competence of drivers. What is the current rate of vehicles moving on the road? When a vehicle is in motion, its speed and weight significantly influence the stopping distance required. As velocity and mass increase, a greater distance is necessary for the vehicle to stop safely. For example, abrupt and forceful braking propels the car forward, covering a longer distance before halting. Drivers must account for the need to increase braking distance due to momentum. It is essential to maintain a safe distance between vehicles to ensure safety. Higher speeds result in a larger distance covered over time, emphasizing the need for caution. Traffic flow. Traffic flow examines interactions among pedestrians, cyclists, drivers, and the infrastructure, such as highways, signs, and traffic control devices. The goal is to design an efficient transportation system that ensures smooth movement and minimizes congestion. Law enforcement personnel, traffic officers, and crossing guards aim to regulate vehicle movement and ensure the safety of road users. Spacing refers to the physical distance drivers maintain, which improves traffic conditions through defensive driving. Signaling. Drivers must indicate changes in speed or direction to communicate effectively on the road. In Texas, signaling before altering speed or location is mandatory. Noncompliance can result in penalties. Proper signaling helps prevent collisions and enhances defensive driving practices. Consistently signaling intentions allows other drivers to anticipate and plan their movements accordingly. Failure to signal unexpected maneuvers can lead to accidents. Always signal before, changing lanes, turning in any direction, exiting or entering a parking space or roadway, slowing down or stopping, moving to the side of the road. Signal description. Drivers use signals to communicate with other motorists and pedestrians. Proper use of turn signals helps prevent accidents and ensures smoother traffic flow. Signals must be used when changing lanes, turning, or exiting highways and parking areas. Options for signaling: turn signal lights, standard method for indicating intent, hand and arm signals. Extend the arm fully outside the window. Ensure visibility and clarity of the signal, especially in well-lit conditions. Note: hand signals are less effective at night. Ensure signal lights are functional. Apply brakes repeatedly to draw attention when stopping. Signal at least 100 feet before turning or stopping, and deactivate after completing the action. Caution: avoid using hand signals at night for safety. Successful completion. Many vehicles travel below the speed limit, leading to lane changes and overtaking. The left lane is designated for overtaking. Using turn signals simplifies communication and reduces collision risks. Gradual lane changes and proper signaling show courtesy and enhance road safety. Protocol for progressing. Passing should only be done when it is safe to do so. Head-on collisions due to improper passing can have fatal outcomes. Tips for successful completion. Ensure the path is unobstructed and check the surroundings. Signal before changing lanes or overtaking. Use the horn judiciously to alert others. Avoid abrupt movements, transition lanes gradually. Always check blind spots before crossing lines. Executing an overtaking maneuver on a 2-lane road, maintain a safe gap to ensure clear visibility. Check rear-view mirrors, side mirrors, and blind spots before overtaking. Signal left to notify other drivers of your intention. Verify no passing zones and incoming traffic in the left lane. Ensure sufficient time and space to overtake safely and return to the right lane before oncoming traffic is within 200 feet. Pass on the left and only return to the right lane once the overtaken vehicle is visible in your rearview mirror. Signal right and merge safely back into the right lane. Deactivate the signal after completing the maneuver.
How to make a lane change. Explain and show the activity. Make your plan for which lane you're going. First, look ahead about 2 or 3 blocks away in your intended path of travel. Carefully check the side mirror which side lane are you taking in rearview mirrors 2 times. If you see any objects close to your intended path, wait and let it go first. Turn on your signal. Before finally deciding to move the lane, quickly check your blind spots. Move to the lane very gradually. Without blind spots, do not make any lane changes. You need to decrease or increase your speed for your opportunity, but you can't do over the limit or can't decrease under the below speed limit. Make sure to maintain proper speed. After completing your lane change, make sure your turn signal is off, because your inattention signal may create a fatal accident.
Prohibited from proceeding. The road markings explicitly prohibit certain maneuvers. Avoid crossing steep bends or roads with limited traction. Refrain from proceeding in concealed locations or areas with a continuous yellow line. Do not pass when within 100 feet of intersections, railroad crossings, bridges, or tunnels. Avoid maneuvers when driving on elevated terrains or curves in the road. Situations like strong, uncomfortable brightness in your vision field warrant extra caution. Never pass without checking your blind spot. Always stay in the right lane unless overtaking or preparing for a left turn. Overtaking rules. Avoid overtaking on roads with 2 or 3 lanes unless conditions permit. For one-way traffic roads, follow designated flow directions. If the right lane is obstructed or inaccessible, overtaking must still follow road rules. Left lane. The left lane is designed for overtaking rather than speeding, despite often being referred to as the fast lane. Vehicles in the left lane must adhere to posted speed limits. Improper use of the left lane, such as excessive speeding or tailgating, can provoke road rage and increase risks. Always overtake on the left side on roads with multiple lanes and two-way traffic unless directed otherwise. Passing. Passing on the right. Permissible in Texas when safe and under suitable conditions. The path must be clear of parked cars with sufficient lane width for traffic flow in both directions. Drivers can pass on a paved shoulder if the vehicle in front slows or makes a left turn. Passing on the right is allowed on multi-lane one-way roads. When being overtaken, avoid accelerating when another vehicle overtakes you. Remain within your lane, close to the right side, especially on unmarked roads. Provide sufficient space for the other driver to pass safely. Refrain from honking your horn unnecessarily. Visual field defect. Blind spots are areas outside the coverage of car mirrors and require turning your head to check. Collisions often occur when drivers neglect to inspect blind spots before lane changes. Blind spots are typically located adjacent to your side mirrors, not directly behind your vehicle. Always check your blind spots thoroughly before switching lanes. Turn. Turning is a critical aspect of driving proficiency, requiring lane discipline, correct signaling, and situational awareness. Many traffic accidents occur due to improper turning techniques or failure to follow correct procedures. If you are in the wrong lane for a turn, proceed straight and turn at the next intersection instead of attempting an unsafe maneuver. Exercise patience and caution when preparing for turns to avoid abrupt or hazardous actions. Safe turn guidelines 1. Plan ahead. Decide on the turn well in advance. Avoid last-minute decisions. 2. Check surroundings. Visually inspect areas behind and on both sides of your vehicle before changing lanes. 3. Enter the correct lane. Transition to the proper lane promptly. If traffic conditions prevent entry into the turn lane at least half a block in advance, continue straight. 4. Signal intentions. Use turn signals at least 100 feet before turning. When signaling manually, ensure clarity and maintain the signal until near the junction. Avoid holding the signal during the turn to keep both hands on the wheel. 5. Reduce speed. Decelerate before initiating the turn. Avoid braking or clutching mid-turn. 6. Stay in your lane. Remain within the designated turn lane throughout the maneuver. 7. Execute the turn properly. Position correctly, maintain reduced speed, and complete the turn while staying in the designated lane. 8. Deactivate signals. After completing the maneuver, promptly deactivate your turn signal. Right turn. Instructions for executing a right turn. Signal your intent to change lanes well before reaching the turn point. Move into the rightmost lane when conditions allow. Activate your right turn signal and begin to slow down at least 100 feet before the intersection. Look carefully in both directions before initiating the turn. Keep your vehicle as close to the right edge of the road as possible. Turn the steering wheel firmly with both hands for control. Left turn. Instructions for executing a left turn. Signal for a lane change well in advance of the turn point. Move to the leftmost lane when it is safe to do so. Activate your left turn signal and reduce your speed at least 100 feet before the intersection. Observe your surroundings in all directions before starting the turn. Stay to the left of the center line when approaching the junction. Yield to oncoming vehicles. Steer towards the right side of the center line of the road you are entering. This minimizes disruption to other vehicles. Once the turn is complete, signal and change lanes if necessary. Executing a left turn from a one-way street into a two-way street. Turn from the left lane of the one-way street into the right lane of the two-way street, staying in the correct direction of travel. Executing a left turn from a two-way street into a one-way street. Choose the lane that minimizes disruption to other vehicles when entering the one-way street. Executing a left turn from a three-lane one-way road into another one-way street. Make the turn from the left lane into the right lane of the other one-way street. Performing a U-turn. Use the leftmost lane or the center lane when performing a U-turn. Ensure the maneuver is legal and safe in the area. Vehicle parking. Drivers must park in safe, appropriate locations and avoid areas marked as dangerous or prohibited. Improperly parked or halted vehicles can cause accidents or penalties for other drivers. To park safely, turn off the engine. Engage the parking brake. Remove the key. Check for oncoming traffic before opening your car door. Prohibition of halting or parking. Avoid stopping, standing, or parking in the following situations: on the road edge or curb where stopping would block traffic, on pedestrian pathways or crosswalks, at intersections or areas where roads meet, within 30 feet of a safety zone or directly across from its end, near street excavations or obstructions that block traffic, on bridges, elevated roadways, or tunnels, on or near railways, in locations marked with official no parking or no standing signs, adjacent to public or private driveways, on curbs or other non-designated areas. Prohibited parking, distances, within 15 feet of a fire hydrant, within 20 feet of a crosswalk at an intersection, within 30 feet of a flashing signal, stop sign, or yield sign, within 50 feet of a railroad crossing, within 20 feet of a fire station entrance, in designated loading zones, unless actively loading or unloading goods, in spaces reserved for disabled passengers, unless your vehicle is authorized to use them. Familiarize yourself with your braking distance. The majority of inexperienced drivers tend to drive in close proximity to other vehicles and fail to maintain a safe distance. Vehicles maintain a minimum safe distance from one another. Tailgating, which refers to driving too closely behind the vehicle in front, is the primary cause of the majority of rear-end incidents. Typically, this indicates that the motorist behind did not maintain a sufficient distance from the vehicle in front in the moments before the collision. As your speed increases, it is important to maintain a larger gap between your vehicle and the one in front of you. When road conditions are bad, allocate more time. For novice or less skilled drivers, it is recommended to maintain a 4-second gap between vehicles while following. Avoid following vehicles too closely. Adhere to this recommended safe distance when in excellent condition. The stopping distance refers to the total distance required for your vehicle to come to a complete halt, starting from the moment you become aware of a potential danger until your automobile fully stops after using the brakes. By maintaining a suitable space between your vehicle and the one ahead, you may enhance your response time to prevent potential collisions and ensure the safety of all those involved. Defensive driving techniques. Continue reading to learn how to establish a secure spacing between vehicles and engage in defensive driving techniques. The larger the spacing you should maintain between your vehicle and the one in front of you. When driving at speeds of 20 miles per hour or below, it is recommended to maintain a minimum time interval of 2 seconds or a distance of 63 feet between your automobile and the vehicle ahead, assuming the road conditions are favorable. An optimal stopping distance requires around 44 feet of clear visibility of the potential danger, with an additional 19 feet needed to effectively use the brakes. When driving at speeds over 40 miles per hour, it is important to maintain a distance of 4 seconds between automobiles under favorable road conditions. When road conditions are bad, allocate more time. For novice or less skilled drivers, it is recommended to maintain a 4-second gap between vehicles while following. It is advisable to modify your speed and maintain an appropriate following distance based on your physical state, as well as the circumstances of the vehicle and road. If you are fatigued or experiencing poor health, refrain from operating a vehicle. Do not compel oneself to operate a vehicle. It is important to be aware of when to decelerate and extend the gap between vehicles. Reduce your speed and increase the gap between your vehicle and the one in front of you when the road is wet. Numerous drivers become aware belatedly of the significant impact even a modest quantity of rain may have. When roads are wet, they become slippery, which increases the difficulty of controlling your automobile. Decelerate and ensure that you consistently maintain full authority over the circumstances. Reduce speed and extend the gap between vehicles when the road is congested. Reduce your speed and extend the gap between your vehicle and the one ahead when your visibility is restricted. It is essential that you possess the ability to come to a complete stop within the visible range in front of your vehicle at all times. During conditions of low visibility or inclement weather, it is important to avoid exceeding the range of your visual perception. Reduced visual acuity leads to a reduction in speed, located in the upper visual field. There are 3 essential stages of vision that are required as you go on a journey. Prioritize visual perception. Focus on the central area of vision. Peripheral vision refers to the ability to see objects and movement outside of the direct line of sight. To prevent an accident, it is advisable to decrease the speed if the driver's eyesight is below 100%. Velocity and restriction in the state of Texas. Motorists must adhere to the designated minimum and maximum speed restrictions shown on posted signs. The purpose of these restrictions is to provide a smooth and organized movement of vehicles under typical driving circumstances. When faced with heavy traffic, adverse weather, limited visibility, or other unfavorable driving circumstances, it is essential to modify your speed and maintain a safe distance from the vehicle ahead in order to prevent accidents. The speed restrictions chart displays the highest permissible speeds for various types of vehicles under certain circumstances. Drivers should also be aware that towns and counties possess the jurisdiction to modify these limitations. Entities responsible for setting or modifying speed limits must ensure that the speed restriction remains consistent during both daylight and evening. It is advisable to adhere to the highest permissible speed restriction when the driver's mindset, vehicle, road, and weather circumstances are acceptable. Always adhere to the designated speed limit when driving, since exceeding it is the primary traffic offense in Texas and may result in a deadly collision. The maximum allowable speed in the state of Texas. An alley, the speed is 15 miles per hour. Coastal areas with sandy shores and access to the ocean, the speed is 15 miles per hour. An urban district, the speed is 30 miles per hour. A highway is a major road that is designed for high-speed travel and connects different cities or regions. The speed is 70 miles per hour. School and commercial vehicles, the speed is 60 miles per hour. The minimum speed limit on highways, the speed is 45 miles per hour. Decelerate or depart, reduce your speed or change lanes to create a safe distance. When an emergency medical vehicle, police enforcement vehicle, fire truck, tow truck, or Texas Department of Vehicle activates its flashing lights, the driver is obligated to decrease the speed to a level that is 20 miles per hour lower than the designated speed limit. Alternatively, change lanes away from the emergency vehicles. It is crucial to be vigilant of cars that are stationary on the road in other situations as well. Mail, delivery, and garbage collection trucks often stop on the street. Motorists should exercise care and, if feasible, switch lanes before overtaking one of these vehicles on the roadway. Expertise of the driver. An optimal driving situation is very uncommon, particularly at night, and poses much greater risks compared to daytime driving. Winter driving. Most of the time, the circumstances for driving in person and on the road are not good. A responsible driver must possess the skills to effectively handle an accident in any urgent scenario. Regulations regarding headlights. It is mandatory to activate your vehicle's headlights from 30 minutes after nightfall until 30 minutes before dawn, or whenever visibility is less than 1,000 feet due to poor lighting conditions. To prevent direct eye contact with oncoming vehicle headlights, redirect your gaze towards the lower right side of your traffic lane. Utilize your low-beam headlights in the following situations. A. Within a radius of 500 feet from an oncoming vehicle. B. Maintaining a close proximity within a distance of 300 feet behind another vehicle. C. Operating a vehicle on illuminated roadways. D. Operating a vehicle in conditions of reduced visibility caused by fog, heavy rain, sleet, snow, or dust. When parking on a dark roadway at night, it is advisable to have your parking lights or low-beam headlights turned on. Entrance to a major roadway. Driving on motorways, toll roads, throughways, turnpikes, and motorways is designed to provide optimal safety, but it is essential to have a thorough understanding of their correct use. In Texas, a highway is legally defined as the distance between the borderlines of a road that is maintained by the government and is accessible to the public for driving. Use a highway. Prior to use a highway, it is advisable to plan your journey in order to ascertain the precise entry, direction, and departure points. Ensure that both you and your vehicle are in optimal condition. If you are unable or unwilling to drive at or above the designated minimum speed limit, please refrain from using the roadway. The acceleration lane entry ramp experiences ongoing increases in speed. It is essential that you give priority to cars that are already on the highway. Just reduce speed and yield if required. Proceed to the speed change lane. Position yourself on the right side, indicate your intention to turn left, and after you have confirmed that it is safe, accelerate to join the moving vehicles. Operating a vehicle on the expressway, select the appropriate lane. Observe the planned route from a distance of at least 0.25 miles, closely watch areas of concern, and be vigilant. Utilize the right lane for driving at or below the minimum posted speed limit or the average speed of other vehicles on the road. Utilize the center or left lane when you are moving at a higher speed than other cars or overtaking them. Avoid changing lanes often in heavy traffic. Sustain a consistent velocity. Maintain a consistent speed that matches the flow of vehicles on the road. Avoid unnecessary fluctuations in speed. Maintain a minimum following distance of 2 seconds behind the car in front of you. During inclement weather conditions, it is advisable to extend the duration to a minimum of 4 seconds. Observe the vehicles in front of you. Anticipate the possibility of a sudden halt by one of the automobiles in front of you. Safe entry. Modify your velocity to accommodate the safe entry of other vehicles into the roadway. All vehicles in any lane, with the exception of the right lane designated for slower traffic, must be ready to change lanes in order to let quicker traffic pass. Opt for solo driving whenever feasible. Maintain an open window to provide a constant influx of fresh air in the automobile, which aids in staying attentive and awake. Avoid entering the area where another driver's vision is obstructed. Traveling in a position where the motorist in front of you lacks visibility of your car might provide a potential hazard. Remain behind or circumvent the other car. Avoid lateral movement. When you start feeling sleepy, leave the area or situation immediately. Cease, leave, and create anew. Refrain from using your mobile device while operating a vehicle or engaging in text messaging. Departing the highway. Prior to departing the highway, it is advisable to strategize on the specific names and numerical designations of the exits. Subsequently, transition to the exit lane promptly. Transition to the appropriate lane far ahead of the exit. As the volume of traffic increases, it is advisable to transition into the appropriate lane at an earlier time. Exit signs are typically positioned a minimum of 1,000 yards in front of the exit. Decelerate when approaching the exit ramp in order to ensure that you reach the designated lower speed limit by the time you depart the highway. Additionally, be vigilant and be ready to yield if there are any concealed locations where other vehicles may be lurking. Highway hypnosis. Highway hypnosis refers to a state of altered consciousness that may occur when driving on a highway for an extended period of time. A motorist on the freeway becomes fatigued. Reduced activity and the constant noises of wind, motor, and tire hum might induce a state of lethargy or unawareness. This phenomenon is sometimes referred to as highway hypnosis. It is essential for all drivers to be aware of the danger posed by drowsiness and familiarize themselves with the strategies to combat it. When you are experiencing exhaustion, adhere to the following. Take frequent breaks. Regardless of your current state of well-being, it is advisable to make regular stops at intervals of no more than 2 hours or every 100 miles. Exit your vehicle and go on foot. Facilitate the relaxation of your muscles. It is recommended to pause every 2 hours or after covering a distance of 100 kilometers. Limit your daily driving to a maximum of 8 hours. Maintain constant eye movement. Observe various objects, those that are close and far, as well as those on the left and right. Observe the road signs as you get closer to them. Ensure you inspect your rearview mirror. Automobile malfunction on the expressway. If it is not possible to remove the automobile off the road, evacuate all occupants from the vehicle and move them away from the road. It is advisable to use portable warning systems to alert approaching vehicles. Please relocate your vehicle from the pavement to the shoulder of the road. A vehicle experiencing a deflated or burst tire may be cautiously maneuvered off the road. Activate your emergency warning lights. In the absence of warning lights, use your tail lights. During nighttime, it is advisable to illuminate the inside of the automobile in addition to activating the taillights and warning lights. Attach a white cloth to your radio antenna, doorknob, or any conspicuous location. In the absence of a white cloth, elevate your hood. Skids. Vehicle skidding poses a significant risk. In all driving scenarios, it is essential to adhere to a fundamental principle. Engage in thoughtful consideration before taking any action. A car slides when its tires lose traction with the road surface, causing it to lose control. In the event of an automobile skid, adhere to the following safety guidelines. Avoid abruptly and forcefully using the brakes. Release pressure from the accelerator pedal. Rotate your steering wheel in the same direction as the skid. Upon regaining control, delicately align the wheels in a straight position. To prevent skidding, it is advisable to reduce speed under unfavorable road and weather conditions. Additionally, inspect the tires of your vehicle. Tires that are old or worn and have limited or broken tread pose a significant risk. In the diagram shown, the skid is moving towards the right. Malfunction of the braking system. In the event of a brake failure in your car, remain calm. Apply pressure on the brake pedal and attempt the action once again. Engage your parking brake and downshift to a lower gear. Ensure that you engage your parking brake with care to prevent the brakes from locking and causing your vehicle to slide. Operate a vehicle in an unobstructed area. Deviation from the paved surface. If you deviate off the paved road, avoid abruptly and forcefully using the brakes. Securely grasp the steering wheel and release pressure from the accelerator pedal. Exercise caution while using your brakes and avoid abruptly returning to the road surface. Ensure that you decelerate until your velocity is decreased, assess the flow of vehicles behind you, and thereafter maneuver your vehicle back into the road with caution. Tire puncture or sudden tire burst. In the event of a deflated tire or a sudden burst, avoid abruptly and forcefully using the brakes. Cease pressing down on the accelerator and gradually use the brake pedal. Continue driving in a straight line until you come to a complete halt. Descending in a vehicle. When descending a steep incline while operating a vehicle, engaging a lower gear in a manual automobile might assist in decelerating your vehicle. Always avoid coasting in neutral, and for vehicles equipped with a manual gearbox, never coast while keeping your foot on the clutch. Refrain from making any lane changes. Avoid applying sudden and forceful pressure on the brakes. Winter driving. Drivers become aware of the altered conditions in the natural environment during winter, which leads to increased risks. However, a significant number of drivers lack knowledge on appropriate actions to take in response. Here are some recommended measures to take throughout the winter season. Below is a table including winter driving safety tips. Ensure a sufficient distance is maintained. Adjust the following distance from the preceding vehicle in accordance with the pavement conditions. A significant number of rear-end incidents transpire on icy roadways due to cars failing to maintain sufficient stopping distance. Winter tires are prone to sliding on icy or compacted snow surfaces. In order to ensure your safety, it is imperative that you maintain a certain distance. Decrease velocity to align with the prevailing circumstances. There is no specific speed range that may be considered safe for driving on snow or ice. Exercise utmost vigilance till you ascertain the level of grip your tires can provide. Do not use the brakes fully on icy surfaces, as this may result in a decrease in the ability to maneuver and maintain control. Each city block and every mile of roadway may vary based on factors such as sunlight exposure, shadow, and the road's surface. Maintain clear windows. Prior to traveling, it is essential to eliminate any snow and ice, regardless of the distance you want to go. Ensure that the windshield wipers and defroster are functioning correctly. Be vigilant for any hazards ahead. Ice may form on bridges while the rest of the pavement remains free of ice. The rate of snow melting is slower in locations that are shaded. Exercise care while approaching turns. Familiarize yourself with the road conditions. Commence at a very gradual pace. Spinning the wheels and burning the rubber off your tires is a futile and pointless activity. Assess the amount of traction by cautiously testing the brakes after the automobile is in motion. Initiate deceleration before reaching a bend. Install chains or snow tires on your car. Chains are the optimal choice and should be used in areas where ice and snow persist on the road. It is important to note that both chains and snow tires will not enable you to drive on the slippery surface. Do not develop a false feeling of security while driving on the pavement at regular speeds. Minimize the likelihood of danger and enhance the reaction time of drivers. This refers to all those who utilize roads that are limited to a single lane, including those on urban highways, rural highways, motorways, and split highways. This lesson focuses on the skills required to navigate various kinds of highways, including entering, adapting to, driving on, and departing them. A motorist is accountable for adhering to the significance of precise steering, velocity regulation, lane alignment, and lane selection on various highways, ensuring clear view when navigating bends and inclines with concealed curbs. The presentation will cover regulations pertaining to passing, lane changes, and speed restrictions on various road types, as well as information about motorway entrances and exits. The training will address various driving scenarios and provide the driver with ways to minimize risk and drive without collisions in varied driving settings. Responsible drivers adhere to these measures by following traffic regulations, which may lead to overall improvement. This module focuses on instructing drivers on processes and duties related to information processing in contexts that involve moderate to high levels of risk. Drivers must adhere to all technical requirements and master the necessary abilities for driving alongside other road users. Vehicle skids occur when tires experience a loss of traction with the road surface. In the event of a blowout while driving, it is advisable to maintain a straight trajectory, release pressure on the accelerator, and gradually use the brakes. As you approach an intersection, you realize that you are in the incorrect lane to make a right turn as originally planned. Continue driving forward until you reach the appropriate lane, then make a turn at the next junction. To determine the safest time to return to the right-hand lane after passing another vehicle on a two-lane road, use your best judgment. It is necessary to refrain from proceeding until the car that you have passed is visible in your rearview mirror. If you are traveling at the designated speed limit and another vehicle honks their horn and attempts to overtake you, it is advisable to decelerate and give them the opportunity to pass. When approaching a junction, bridge, or railroad crossing, it is imperative that you refrain from driving on the left side of the road at a distance of 100 feet. When making a turn, it is important to provide the appropriate signal. Ensure to make a turn with a minimum distance of 100 feet before reaching the desired direction. When making a left turn from a one-way street with 3 lanes, it is advisable to turn from the leftmost lane. It is essential to provide a signal using either your hand, arm, or a signal device whenever you make a lane change. When another vehicle is overtaking you, it is important to remain in your designated lane. The blind spot refers to the specific region around your vehicle that is not visible to the driver. Your rearview mirrors do not provide transparency. Rotate your head in the direction opposite to your shoulder. When parking in proximity to a corner, it is necessary to ensure that your car is at least 20 feet away from a crossing. It is essential to maintain a minimum distance of 15 feet between a vehicle and a fire plug while parking. For optimal parallel parking, it is advisable to position the wheels on the side closest to the curb at a distance of 6 to 18 inches from the curb. Avoid parking your car within around 30 feet of stop signs. In the event that you cause damage to an unattended car, it is essential that you either find the owner or alternatively provide a signed declaration. When selecting your driving speed, it is crucial to take into account the weather conditions, traffic congestion, road conditions, vehicle condition, and driver's capabilities. Under optimal conditions, taking into account response time, a motor vehicle equipped with efficient brakes and traveling at a speed of 50 miles per hour may come to a complete stop within about 229 feet. The stopping distance, which includes response time, is 20 miles per hour, resulting in a vehicle coming to a complete stop in about 63 feet. When driving behind another vehicle, what is the recommended distance you should keep between your car and the one you are following? A stated speed restriction of 55 miles per hour indicates that you are legally allowed to travel at a maximum speed of 55 miles per hour as long as the driving conditions are acceptable. When driving at a speed of 20 miles per hour, the typical motorist will cover a distance of about 44 feet from the time they see a hazard until they apply the brakes.